Squidward Tentacles, a man synonymous with pessimism, narcissism, a man who truly breathes nothing but doom and gloom, a man that upon hearing you're supposed to run, cower, and hide, and pray that he does not find you. Or at least that's what the writers want you to think about him. At least that's what I think, because there are so many Squidward Torture episodes. Episodes in which Squidward wants to relax in his garden, play his clarinet, take a nice bubble bath in peace without gaping eyes staring at his naked squid body, but apparently that's a big ask. Normally you'd think of Squidward as the bad guy, but what if I told you that the majority of the episodes, he's just a dude minding his own business, and because of that infertile demon sponge going, ah! Squidward has to suffer. Today, I'm gonna take a look at the vast majority of these torture episodes and try to understand why they exist. Try to understand what is the point. Is it just to be funny without actually telling a good story? Or do the writers just genuinely get off like, yes, Squidward, rip off your toenail. This is exactly what I needed. It's just genuinely what I wonder about the series. So please make sure to like and subscribe and just strap yourself in for some Squidward torture. Now taking a look at one of the most infamous SpongeBob episodes of all time, Ink Lemonade. I genuinely don't know how this episode was conceived. I've seen it before, and it still baffles me how this ever got past the pitch meeting. I can only picture the big kahuna being all like, alright guys, you know, my nipples are hard and I really need a good episode, so whoever comes up with the best one, I'm gonna suck your big toe. Alright, let's hear it. And then just Big Larry in the back there, he's hunched over, he's doing nothing but drinking Sydney Sweeney bathwater. He looks up like a animalistic primal ape, and he's like, ugh, you need an idea for a new episode? Well, there's something I've always wanted. I've always wanted to see Squidward get inked excessively. Squidward gets inked so much in this episode, and they drink it. They drink his ink, and it's all involuntary until the end of the episode, and it's baffling. The beginning of the episode, they at least try to paint this picture that you shouldn't like Squidward in this episode, because Patrick, he's doing his Patrick thing, going, lemonade! Get your lemonade! And Squidward, he walks out and he says, you're too disgusting to be doing this. You should go back under your rock. And I was like, oh wow, that's heartbreaking. This is a travesty. How could he say that to my main man, Pat? And he just immediately follows it up by proving that Squidward is correct. Like, if Patrick did something wholesome, something nice, then I wouldn't have any reason to be on Squidward's side, but Patrick immediately is just like, oh gosh. He lifts up his arm, takes a Band-Aid out of his armpit, puts it in the lemonade, and feeds it to some random bystander who drinks it.
Ah, thanks, buddy. I was thirsty.
And then Patrick's like, oh boy, go throw up in there, and sends him over to Squidward's house to throw up in Squidward's house. So immediately, I'm on Squidward's side, because I would call Patrick a disgusting sick freak too. I'm assuming that he just has a weird fetish for, I don't know, giving people disgusting liquids and just being like, oh yeah, drink it. Oh yeah, that's Patrick's Kool-Aid. It's just weird, it's baffling, and I'm immediately on Squidward's side. So ultimately, they've already failed with all of this torturing of Squidward for the episode, but God, does it just get worse. Because Squidward, he walks outside and SpongeBob appears out of nowhere and it's just like, ah! Making his infertile demon screams, which scares Squidward and forces him to ink.
Fire hose.
And before this episode, I had never seen Squidward do that, and I don't like that they random decided to add that as a character trait for him, because it's just, it's wrong when they're sentient, it's very wrong when they're aware of themselves and he's just inking, and Patrick, upon seeing this black sludge in a glass, is immediately like, oh boy, and just gives it to SpongeBob to drink. Like, nobody has a second thought that you're drinking squid ink. Like, genuinely, if Patrick walked up, just cranked his hog, just released one into a bottle, would they just be like, oh boy? Like, I don't get it. You don't know what it is. Nobody clearly knows what it is because they're calling it black lemonade. So Patrick, because there's now a demand for Squidward's delicious, yummy ink, starts scaring Squidward non-stop. Initially, just like ripping off his skin and making Squidward jump up, and just out of his nose, just lots of good old-fashioned ink. He's inking everywhere, basically busting out of fear, and it's very hard to watch.
May I borrow a cup of squid squeezy?
And everybody just keeps lining up, just keeps drinking it, and just Patrick gets a giant spider and brings it into Squidward's house. Squidward climbs all over the ceiling, panicking. He's just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I don't like spiders. As he's inking everywhere and Patrick is collecting it just to make more and more people drink it.
I hate spiders!
And again, I'm supposed to root for this just because Squidward called him a disgusting freak? That's the equivalent of walking up to somebody in high school and saying, I fucked your mom, shit lips, and then he grabs you and rips out your trachea. Like, genuinely, it's undeserved. It was a very minor insult, but here we are nonetheless. Patrick literally makes a torture chamber, a giant tent full of Squidward's worst fears, including dressing up like a baby version, an incest baby of Patrick and Squidward combined, morphed into one to scare Squidward in abhorrent and unnatural ways, just making Squidward question his entire reality. And so Squidward runs away. He sees a makeshift Krusty Krab of all things and sees himself at the age of 60 and just produces an entire boat's worth of ink for everybody to drink up.
Help you, young man!
And this is where the episode truly loses me because I don't know. I feel the reason I make videos where I'm shitting on specific episodes is because SpongeBob used to be so unbelievably good. The first 4 seasons not only taught you good lessons, but were also unbelievably hilarious that would always have a good ending that felt deserved within the episode. Here, Squidward, upon seeing everybody just drink up his ink, is like, oh man, they're drinking up the stuff that I produce? Ooh, hot dog! Like, this is genuinely like if, I don't know, Bonnie Blue, after just railing with 1,000 men, was all like, all right guys, I sweated a lot during this activity, who wants to drink it? And people would actually buy it, and that's the sad thing. But either way, Squidward, he tries to sell all of his ink and ends up just like floating in the air and inking on top of everybody, and then nobody wants it and they all throw up in his house. And again, there isn't really a instance where it feels deserved for Squidward to suffer this much. There's nothing that makes me want to see Squidward go through this. And by the time it was done, I was disgusted, and if I had seen this, I would never want to watch SpongeBob again. It is a harsh fact that there had to be at least one person in the world whose first episode of SpongeBob was Ink Lemonade. And maybe they found it funny, and they never understood what made SpongeBob so good. This is just outright disgusting. It's borderline Ren and Stimpy torture, and I absolutely hate it. This has no redeeming qualities. This is just Squidward producing mass amount of ink so people can drink it. And I'll never understand why anyone would ever love this or want this. If a character does something wrong, then obviously you could punish them for that episode. It would just make sense. It would feel cathartic because you want to watch that character suffer a little bit for doing something atrocious. But in the majority of these episodes, it's not like Squidward is walking up and being like, SpongeBob, you're out of fentanyl. Oh, little broke boy. Like, it's not like he's doing anything like that. He's just existing. The episode opens with him just, what a lovely day. As SpongeBob, like an Aztec death whistle, just starts going, da, da, and just starts going, do you want to play, Squidward? Do you want to play with me? I want to play with you. I want it so badly. There's so many instances where Squidward is genuinely doing nothing, minding his own business, just trying to enjoy life, and SpongeBob just keeps intervening with his relaxation, not taking no for an answer. And yes, that's a core trait of SpongeBob's character. He's ignorant, he's insistent, and that's what makes him so bothersome. But it's what happens as this episode goes on that genuinely just kind of pisses me off, because again, there's no reason for our little squid guy to be going through this much torment. It even gets to the point where Squidward's taking a bath, you know, that good old-fashioned la-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-dum, and SpongeBob is just taking a peek through his window, a peeping Tom, looking at that squid body.
Squidward!
And normally, Squidward, he has a chance to get a towel, but I feel like at this point in the series, with this episode, Squidward is just so used to this man appearing in his bathtub, watching him take a shower, watching him get naked, that he just gets out of the bath, hanging it out. Obviously, there's nothing there because the children cannot see that squid cock, but that's not what we're here for anyway. It's just the fact that Squidward is probably so comfortable with the idea of being around SpongeBob naked because it's just happened so many times. And that kind of makes me feel a little bit weird. I just feel bad for him in a sense there. And so he bashes SpongeBob through the floor, and SpongeBob, being himself, he's like, "Ah, I have a wondrous idea." He decides to make a mini version of Squidward, a little wooden Squidward who is just like him, but mini. That is his main, you know, thing that he has over it. And so SpongeBob starts playing with this mini Squidward instead of actual Squidward, which actually isn't that bad of an idea. You could have a lot of fun with this concept, but it's what they decide to do after that I just genuinely think the writers are just like staring at their picture of Squidward like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna take it like a good boy. You're gonna like it." Because there's just no writing moment where Squidward gets a moment of retribution, where he gets a moment to be happy. He's just working at the Krusty Krab and he tells actually a pretty goddamn funny joke. He walks up to a table and he's like, "All right, who ordered the Krabby Patty?" And nobody laughs, but he's holding 2 goddamn Krabby Patties.
All right now, who has the Krabby Patty and who has the Krabby Patty?
I thought it was funny. I got a chuckle, Squiddy. I got a good old laugh, and everybody's just being mean to him, and then the tiny version of Squidward comes, and everyone's saying that Squidward is so ugly, the real Squidward, but they think tiny Squidward is happy. So is this just a sign that anybody in life thinks smaller things are better? There's at least one person watching the video who needed to hear that right now. I'm looking at you, man. It's okay that it's tiny. And so Squidward, he starts panicking a little bit. He's even sitting at the cash register. He's watching this little Squidward just outdo him in every way. And a guy walks up and Squidward's like, "Can I take your order?" He just says it in a super nice way. And this guy's like, "I don't like your attitude. I don't like it at all. What's wrong with you?"
Oh, sorry, sir. Can I take your order?
No, I don't like your attitude, bub.
And so, yeah, he just said, "Can I take your order?" There wasn't any attitude, it was just his normal voice. The tiny little mini squid comes up and is like, "Can I take your order, sir?" And this guy just starts, "Oh, now this is some customer service."
Sorry, sir. Can I take your order?
No, that's more like it. Finally, a server with a good attitude.
What are you talking about? There was no difference. There was no difference. It must just be the tinier the better. And so they all start dancing and twerking excessively while Squidward is just watching in horror as he gets demoted to a busboy of all things. It just makes no goddamn sense. I genuinely don't know why. From a writer's perspective, there's no moment where Squidward gets a chance to prove that he actually matters. He starts hitting a dance. They all hate it. A talent agent shows up and is like, "I want this mini Squidward. The tinier the better. I want it extra small where we're going. It can only be small going in there or else it just won't fit." So he signs a contract with him, and Squidward is literally crying at the end of the episode.
I guess I won't.
Bye-bye!
And that's it. SpongeBob gets a brand new doll that is just a mini version of him that goes, "Da, da, da." And that's the end of the episode. So what am I supposed to like here? I mean, sure, some scenes are decently funny, but when I'm watching it from the perspective of a writing standpoint, it genuinely makes zero sense. Squidward gets molested by SpongeBob's just inherent desire to touch him and watch him, even staring at his naked squid penis, okay? He's looking at all of that throughout the episode. And then as it progresses, you just watch Squidward get outclassed by a thing that isn't even real, an inanimate object that is just doing everything he's doing, and the entire townspeople, they all hate Squidward, and then Squidward's dreams are crushed so much so that he cries at the end of the episode. Where's the moment of retribution? Where's the moment? Yeah, Squidward attacks the doll, but he doesn't even break it. Nothing happens. It's just Squidward being clowned on by an inanimate object for 11 minutes, and it's pretty goddamn baffling. So, yeah, this just kind of establishes that everybody in the town basically hates Squidward, wants him to die, thinks he's worthless, and doesn't think he can amount to anything, and that is honestly tragic. Now taking a look at the episode Stuck in an Elevator, and if you're one of those smart people in life, you could probably make the inference here that our Squiddy boy gets stuck in an elevator. And that is correct, he gets stuck with SpongeBob and Patrick. And you're probably thinking, wow, that probably really sucks for him, I bet he did something to deserve such a horrible fate in which he was tortured for the entire length of the episode just for getting in an elevator, right? He had to have done something. Did he start taking a bunch of steroids and beat his wife up and sell her on the black market for 62 cents? Did he find SpongeBob in an alleyway and give him a vasectomy, saying, "You're infertile"? No, he just wanted to return a book at the library. He goes into an elevator, SpongeBob and Patrick catch up, even though Squidward tries everything to stay calm, and it just doesn't work. It is a travesty what this man is about to have befall him, because he genuinely doesn't do anything. He's sitting in the elevator, he's even trying to remain calm, not trying to be a dick. He's just reading his book, just going, "I'm calm as a plate of linguine." And that's a pretty odd analogy. I feel like if anything, any kind of food wouldn't really be a calm form of existence. If you're saying you're calm like a plate of linguine, a really fat man is about to come and gobble you up, so how calm can you really be? Either way, Squidward's trying to be tranquil. He's trying to be calm, and he's trying to be like Linguini. And SpongeBob and Patrick, they just keep making his life a living hell. Genuinely, they press every button in the elevator. Squidward's like, "We're trapped like sardines." SpongeBob and Patrick actually morph into sardines, which gave me a little bit of a chuckle. That's a knee slap right there.
We're trapped like sardines.
Don't worry, Squidward. This happens to us all the time.
I did like that. And then Patrick just starts jangling and jiggling every single wire and just forcing the elevator to go all high and mighty everywhere. Squidward gets crushed by the elevator door, and then he falls out of it, and there's just the abyss below him, darkness, pure death lurking below, and Squidward contemplates killing himself over climbing back up with SpongeBob and Patrick. If that doesn't tell you about this man's degrading mental state, I don't know what else would. He had to genuinely think if he would rather survive or plummet down into the dark abyss. And that's just, pretty dang wild. So then we have Patrick, who has a cell phone. He calls and orders a pizza. The pizza delivery man is like, "Hey, Dad, you order a pizza?" He opens the elevator door. Squidward's like, "Huzzah! This is everything I've ever needed in my life." And then Patrick just spam clicks to close the door.
We're saved! Patrick!
As Squidward is panicking and freaking out. And yes, it's a little bit funny, but that is not what I'm analyzing today. I'm analyzing the fact that this man just wanted to return a goddamn library book, and it's just never ending at this point. So eventually, they all start praising this book that Squidward is reading, treating Squidward like a king, which could have been fun. It could have been like that Magic Conch episode. But it's not really like that. We get like 10 seconds of them praising Squidward as a king. Another guy who was stuck in another elevator shows up, digs his way up through the sand, and then Squidward immediately sees freedom because the cops come up, and the cops arrest Squidward for not returning his book on time, and then Squidward goes in jail, and so does SpongeBob and Patrick, so Squidward is just left in this hellscape, this hellhole of, oh boy, 3 a.m. I just can't even fathom what this poor squid has been going through. It's just a true travesty, everything that the writers do to just make it so unbelievably clear that Squidward is a good person and doesn't deserve this, just to make him go through an abhorrent amount of hell. It's just baffling. Now taking a look at the episode Good Neighbors, and this episode is basically the antithesis The pinnacle of bad SpongeBob writing. Does it have any like true gross out humor? No, not necessarily, but in terms for characterization, overall plot, it's just very pointless. And again, I'm going back to a pitch meeting here, but how do you sit there and be like, well, I guess I'm afraid of having a good ending for the character who did nothing wrong. I think, gentlemen, what do we need here? Well, clearly, bro, we need Squidward to do nothing wrong, want to have a good Sunday, and by the end of the episode, he gets no more Sundays. It's just outright apocalyptic what they do to this man. The episode opens with everybody sleeping, Squidward wakes up, what a beautiful Sunday, and SpongeBob just manifests like a goddamn sleep paralysis demon in the middle of his room, staring at him, just eyes agape like, hi, Squidward.
SpongeBob.
Good morning, Squidward.
Staring at him, just eyes agape like, hi, Squidward. Squidward rightfully kicks him out of the house and just starts rambling on and on about the kind of day that he wants to have. It's a Sunday. He's got his Sunday box. He pulls out a flower. He pulls out a pillow. He calls and schedules a massage. He is ready for a good day. And that's when SpongeBob and Patrick have the realization that this cannot happen, and they elect Squidward as the president of their club. This is a uninteresting plotline and just kind of takes from things that they've already done in previous episodes of SpongeBob and just does it worse. There was no reason for this club concept to exist and just kind of uses it as a crutch for the Squidward torture, like, oh, Squidward, you're the president, we'll do whatever you say. So they go around painting the town in polka dot because that's what Squidward said to do, and then they just squirt paint into Squidward's eyes.
And Squidward, almost done painting.
My eyes!
Yes, brilliant. Squidward runs outside, almost gets hit by a truck, and then the truck takes him to the hospital, so Squidward's away for a little bit. And in that meantime, Squidward and SpongeBob take his massage. They get a nice canoodling from this fish man who touches their toes in sensual ways, making them feel good, and Squidward no longer gets a massage. So he decides to set up a security system, and this was actually the only part of the episode that I liked, where he sets it up and he's like, they'll never get in now, and they just manifest in his room, which I thought was kind of funny. But then Squidward's own house views Squidward as a threat, kicks him out, abuses him, starts laying waste to the town. Squidward just caving into it all, just feeling manic at this point, lays on a rock, just on his back, just his spine curling in pain, and he's just giving into it before the house literally just flattens onto him.
This off button seems suspicious.
And this is normally where in any other show, even in SpongeBob itself, somebody would be like, okay, this is where we write where SpongeBob and Patrick apologize for their actions and give Squidward a goddamn Jack and Coke quadruple because he needs it. He just needs to get plastered at this point. But no. Squidward kicks them out finally, yells at them, and then the entire town police comes to his house because it was going crazy and says that he has to do community service for every other Sunday for the rest of his life. I don't get it. I don't like it even. Even if I was a kid watching this, I wouldn't find that entertaining, because I know there's this idea that children can't understand concepts and storytelling and want good stories. All they want is, yay, Squid getting hurt! I'm not a part of that bandwagon. Even as a kid, if I saw this, I probably wouldn't have wanted to watch this episode again, because I like well thought out plots. I'm not one of those people who are like, I'm just gonna turn my brain off and consume media, and if you're thinking while you watch things, you're the problem. That is the most boneheaded analysis that you could ever have of anything. I like to think while I watch things. Little me like to think while I watch things. It's just how I do it, and this from beginning to end just makes every character except Squidward look unbelievably awful, makes the town look awful. The progression of the episode is also just flat out boring, and it just does nothing worth your time and makes Squidward suffer once again. It is just so awful. Now taking a look at the episode Friendiversary, and I'm experiencing the majority of these episodes with you. If you've never seen these, I've never seen these, and it's a painful experience that we all must apparently go through. I don't understand the writing. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't understand this entire concept, this ideology that Squidward must suffer. Somebody has a shrine in their office just with Squidward getting bashed in with a mallet. His skull is broken. He's crying. They like have a Build-A-Bear of Squidward, and when they press it, it's just him fucking dying, because it's so baffling how every single episode it just gets worse and worse. This episode, it doesn't even have the Squidward is safe at night ideology. It has Squidward waking up in the middle of the night. He grabs hairspray to defend himself. He falls down the stairs and sprays himself in the face.
Hey, they use it!
So he's immediately suffering, and SpongeBob broke into his house to celebrate Friendiversary. And is just going through all the memories that they had growing up together and just loving each other. Oh, wow. Squidward sends his ass home, makes him shake that thing all the way back home, his cheeks dragging across the floor. And I was just thinking, hell yeah, stand your ground, get rid of this infertile sponge. I don't want him here. And, you know, call me a little bit crazy, but what pissed me off even more is the fact that SpongeBob put up this entire big party, this surprise party, that Squidward didn't want. He didn't crave this, he didn't need this, and he told SpongeBob to shake his ass all the way home. The next day, when I saw Squidward just with a scowl on his face, cleaning up this entire party, just mountains upon mountains of trash, as he walks outside and gets jump scared by SpongeBob and falls into this gross, disgusting pile of trash.
Happy Friendiversary!
It made my skin crawl. It made my spine begin to bend and snap and crackle and just wonder how I could possibly strangle SpongeBob IRL and just give him what for. Maybe giving him a pounding into submission. That's not the right term. I don't mean a pounding where I'm gonna be, you know, using up SpongeBob like Ride, and I'm digging myself in a hole here. I meant like, you know, a good 1-4, a good punching, you know. No, that isn't the sound of slapping cheeks. It just keeps going further. But either way, I'm just saying, I don't like watching Squidward clean up after himself and then be thrust into a trash can and then just go and do all these activities where SpongeBob just keeps on torturing him over and over again. He drops a piano on him. He makes Squidward put on rocket boots and literally explode. And it's all for nothing. And Squidward at nighttime, after running around, after seeing SpongeBob become everything, he knocks on a police car's window, and SpongeBob is the police.
Remember this, Squidward?
No.
He's everywhere. So Squidward, that night at home, he's panicking. He's having a manic episode, a manic breakdown. Even the scene where he's just sitting in his chair trying to relax, you could see this man at a true breaking point.
Squidward!
These are the types of things that make people run around the streets naked because they just can't do it anymore. That is Squidward's breaking point, and he grabs a giant pencil. He's going to take it over to SpongeBob's, and he erases all of his memories. And I feel like that was supposed to be the writing moment where I'm supposed to be like, oh, Squidward, you did a bad thing. But it's not a bad thing when SpongeBob is basically harassing him physically, mentally, and sexually at this point. Like, everything about it, it is just so baffling that they allow SpongeBob to do these things with no recourse, no consequence. Nothing bad can happen to SpongeBob, but everything bad can happen to Squidward, and so SpongeBob, he doesn't remember Squidward anymore, so Squidward immediately gets choked by Mr. Krabs.
Me boy, he knows me formula. You have to go and get all the memories back.
You know, it's just baffling. All these choices. So Squidward now has to spend the entire day reliving all of these torturous memories with SpongeBob, just suffering even more over and over and over again, eventually crashing into a pit, eventually jumping into lava, all this stuff just to jog SpongeBob's memory, which of course, it works, but Squidward at the end of the episode, he's left broken, beaten, and in a cast, and you just have to wonder, did he deserve it? Absolutely not. I am just waiting for at least one of these episodes to just end with SpongeBob getting pounded. Again, not sexually, with a fist, not in any of his holes in his face. Now taking a look at the episode Plain to See, and this episode actually made me mad. It makes me think that the writers for this episode are knuckle-dragging Neanderthals, just bottom-of-the-barrel bottom feeders who don't know what they're doing. Now, am I a writer? No. But I could clearly see that they had a perfect way out to make this episode well-rounded, well thought out, and well-paced, and ultimately a well-told story that would have made all of Squidward's suffering actually pretty valid. But that is not what they decided to do. They had a scapegoat. They had something that would have made me jork my pork, just blow it all over the screen in excitement that they actually told a decent story that was well-rounded and had a decent ending. And then they just made it one of the most vile creations of all time. And I absolutely despise it. In this episode, Squidward opens his mailbox and sees Patrick's thick ass because they were already checking out his mail, and he won a vacation to Bora Bora Bottom. How exciting! An island? Hopefully not with Epstein on it? Huh, count me in! Woo! But he has to go with SpongeBob and Patrick because it's a family vacation, so that sucks. And everything that happens to Squidward on this plane is just some of the worst stuff that I've ever seen. Again, I know that like the head showrunner for Ren and Stimpy eventually did take over SpongeBob, but he is not doing a good job. I hate this ideology that character getting hurt equals really funny. It kind of feels like the kid who was like, I don't know, like brutally assaulting animals as a kid, got in charge of the show and was like, I'm gonna do everything nasty to Squidward, because they get on the plane and immediately Squidward has to be in between SpongeBob and Patrick. He doesn't want this. He wants to switch seats, and the flight attendant just grabs his skull and bashes it into the seat in front of him.
Seat in the upright position, or else.
Like, why? Why would he do such a thing? Just beating his ass for no reason. SpongeBob and Patrick start canoodling with each other, probably in a homosexual, like, love way, because I don't know. At this point, I just think SpongeBob and Patrick get down and dirty with each other. They have to have, like, this psychic sexual connection in order to be able to torture Squidward in such cohesive ways. It's the only way I could fathom it. So Squidward, he is now tied up in his seat. The seatbelt literally is keeping him strapped down in every single way. There is no way he's getting up, and he's just there for hours. And Squidward literally starts to cry. And that's how you know that the writers are really out of touch with how to tell a decent story, even for kids, unless this is for like brain-rotted toddlers who are like watching Subway Surfers and Family Guy clips while also watching SpongeBob, like, Squidward's in pain, yay! Like, that's all I can imagine, but Squidward is crying, like violently crying, and he hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't. He's just been trying to have fun, trying to get to his destination, and he's crying for it. And that's so sad. SpongeBob and Patrick, they eventually get rid of both of the flight attendants and they start being the flight attendants. And Patrick walks up to give Squidward some coffee, starts pouring this hot steaming coffee down his esophagus, and eventually shoves the entire coffee mug glass into Squidward's mouth. And he's just sitting there choking as the plane is going on, just coffee pouring out of every hole. And they decide to blow on him. Not give him a blow, if you know what I mean, but blow on him. So he gets blown back, and that is when they get rid of the pilots as well. So Squidward is just screaming violently as he has to attempt to land this plane, just probably becoming more and more unstable, just more and more willing to rip off his clothes, get naked, and start freaking out because his mental state is truly crumbling. But they actually managed to get to Bora Bora Bottom, and I was like, okay, well, they went through all of this for something. There's about a minute of the episode left. You could give me a few frames, a few moments of Squidward going around. You could do like a Hangover parody where they're just taking pictures, having a good time. Squidward's just loving it up. He's the laughingest laugher, whoever laughed, and it was all worth it. But instead, the plane starts to take off anyway, and SpongeBob says, "You won a trip to go and see Bora Bora, not stay at Bora Bora." Why? Like, what's funny about that? Like, I get the joke, I really do. I just think it's not that funny, especially when there was no reason, once again, for Squidward to go through with this. If Squidward had, I don't know, let's say, sneaked onto the plane, if he had stolen somebody's spot, if he was being a nuisance on the plane, if he was doing something that would have deserved that, then I would have been like, yeah, Squidward, you don't deserve that vacation. But he got beat by the flight attendants. He got beat by SpongeBob and Patrick. He cried, perhaps even pissed a little bit. I don't know. He seems like a piss boy at this point. I wouldn't even blame him. And then he doesn't get the vacation either. It's just like they don't know how to tell a good story anymore. You got 11 minutes to get me invested, and by the end of the episode, I should feel like that was worth my time. And by the end of this one, every single second was wasted. I cannot understand why you would want to put a character through something like that just to have it end in even more heartbreak. Now, I know upon making this video, I'm probably going to get some comments saying, "Ooh, look at this soy boy. Clearly doesn't understand what a cartoon is. It's wacky slapstick humor. You shouldn't care about Squidward even remotely." And to that I say, that's a perfectly fine opinion to have. If you want to have that, have it. Enjoy these episodes. Live with these episodes. Love these episodes. But I'm not like that. I'm not making this video to shit on the animators or shit on the writers and tell them everything that they're doing is wrong, even though I'll joke about it. The main intention of making a video like this is to cover the fact that SpongeBob has declined so much. I genuinely consider season 1 all the way up to the movie to be one of the greatest animated shows of all time. Everything about it was so perfect. The setups, the timing, the comedy, wrapping everything up in a nice neat little bow, the characterization, everything about every single episode made it undeniably perfect to me. And in those episodes, Squidward was inherently a cruel character. If SpongeBob was going to be rude to Squidward on purpose or not, it was usually warranted. And that overall made the episode 20 times more enjoyable. Because Squidward, when he deserves it, it just makes it more funny. When I'm watching episodes like this, where there's no setup and it's just Squidward trying to have a nice day, it makes me empathize with the character. I'm not just gonna sit there and be like, man, dude, this guy just trying to enjoy a Sunday? He's now getting berated and sexually harassed by this sponge? Ha ha ha! Like, yes, is the wacky slapstick comedy decent? Yeah, the visuals are sometimes really good, and it can still get me to laugh, but by the end of it, it doesn't feel good when it doesn't have a nice ending, when it doesn't get wrapped up in that nice bow, when there's no setup to it, when it's just Squidward trying to have a good day, it falling apart, and by the end of it, you just watched him suffer, and he gets nothing out of it. I prefer stories that are 11 minutes when I'm watching this, where you have a decent setup for the first minute even have Squidward do something small, and then he can be tortured for the rest of the episode, and then by the end of it, it feels a little bit better, or if Squidward did something really heinous, you can have him suffer in the end. But the majority of these episodes, Squidward doesn't deserve it. Take the episode Krusty Krab Pizza, for example. In that episode, they're just doing their jobs and they have to deliver a pizza. Squidward, he's being a little bit of a dick. He doesn't care about the customer, he wants to eat the pizza, he doesn't give a shit about SpongeBob. So SpongeBob, not necessarily on purpose, is making his life a living hell, crushing him with, it's not a boulder, it's a rock, just doing everything to make Squidward suffer, but it's not on purpose. And watching Squidward go through these things, it feels warranted because of SpongeBob's whimsy and the fact that Squidward is being so negative. It makes sense. And I'm not saying that there's not really funny Squidward Torture episodes. Opposite Day is a great example of that, but when there is no setup and when there's no happy ending and the timing and the comedy just doesn't work because of it, the episodes just fall flat, and it just feels like a lazy excuse to write episodes in which you could just do the most wacky stuff to Squidward for no reason. If this was something like Looney Tunes, if this was something like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, I would have no reason for making a video like this where I highlight all of this torture, because that's just something you expect. You expect the animation to just do crazy things to the characters, to have them be violated, to have them suffer. But here, I've seen episodes where Squidward is a wonderful character. I've seen episodes where Squidward wants to be friends. I've seen episodes where Squidward and SpongeBob are off doing cool adventures and just getting along. So it's not a one-for-one copy of that where nothing is really supposed to be happening to these characters other than wacky slapstick comedy. Because I love Squidward. He's an amazing character. So seeing him just trying to enjoy his day and then just getting nothing out of it, nothing but suffering, nothing but a demonic it is hard to watch. So of course you're entitled to the opinion that these episodes are great, are amazing, that you would love to watch them, and that I'm just a pussy for having this opinion. But personally, I just want better writing for SpongeBob. I would have loved all of these episodes that I watched today if they would have added 30 seconds where Squidward would have been cruel, because then all of it would have made sense and it would have made every single joke feel a lot better, because I wouldn't have empathy for the character. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I am trying a new thing out with the channel because I feel like I was uploading so unbelievably much that people were kind of getting sick of the content, just the same thing day in and day out. So I'm going to be focusing much more on quality over quantity. Failed the quick time event. Giving you guys more videos that are longer, more videos that are more well thought out, more videos that take me more time to create, and ultimately let me have a lot more fun. The views are probably going to keep going down, subscribers are probably going to keep going down, revenue going down, but I'm going to try to make content that I'm more proud of and try to make this a much better career for me and just keep building my audience with more quality content. Instead of trying to be the most consistent YouTuber, I'm going to just try to make really good stuff for you. And if you appreciate that, thanks for sticking along for the ride. I appreciate every single one of you. Lots of good stuff on the way. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye.